Welcome to episode 20. It's a different vibe today, and that's okay. The work around being anxiety free. I hope I make this really blooming clear that we're still going to be human. So no matter how much I drive the message of you get to be anxiety free, and if that blows your mind, good, because you're in the right place, because I couldn't ever imagine in a gazillion years that I would be able to utter those words. But at the same time, we're going to be a human. We don't get to skip the human experience. So today is a day where I feel really human, and that awakening the inner power inside me is not as simple as my brain wants it to be. The compound effect is real. The compound effect of doing something over and over again means that your brain is more inclined to go that way. Is for real. My brain is more inclined now to go into my life is brilliant, it is filled with joy, like it is more inclined to, because I've conditioned it to for so long. For 30 years, it was conditioned into like, I'm anxious, I'm freaking out, I'm overthinking. The compound effect is real, and yet we're still going to be human. If we try and skip this human element of our existence, then we're going to feel really deflated a lot of the time. I went out last night, and I went to see, so Kelly Jones, who's in Stereophonics, maybe you know them, Far From Saints, he's got a new band, and they were in Birmingham, which is close to me, and so I went with a friend from my very first school, one of the very first people I connected with, and we went and we had the best time. I ate food that I wouldn't usually eat, I had a glass of Prosecco, I had a really late night. I'm just not feeling it today. My brain wants to do the maths and be like, oh, well, it makes sense because of this and that, and like you're allowed to be. It's like, no, some days the energy of what we want to step into, the power that we want to awaken inside us isn't as simple to call in as the compound effect has allowed us to be. So I was like, getting up this morning, that never feels good, does it? Because then you rush. Then the walk in the woods that I usually have most mornings, I was tired. Like, this isn't like, I don't want to bring, if you're not in a high energy state and you're like, Emma, you're usually here, like I want to, even talking here now I can feel my energy rising, but I want you to bring it. Some days we're just being human, and some days, and what I want to take us through is what's just happened to me in this realization. So I have committed to myself to be showing up in this space in the hope that it hits and it lands in somebody's heart on the day that it is meant to, and it changes the trajectory of that moment, which is what changes our days, which is our days then determine our life. That's why I'm here. And I have committed to doing it daily. And that doesn't mean that if I miss a day, like I'm bad or anything's wrong. It just means that's my commitment to myself. So I had this dilemma this morning. I was like, I'm not feeling like I am the vibe that people come into my world for. I'm not there right now, but I've made this commitment. So I sat. I didn't push myself to do it, and I didn't decide I'm not going to do it, which is what we want to do, isn't it? When I show you this tattoo, what we want to do is either say like, I'm doing it every day, no matter what, even if I feel like hell, I'm going to do it, or I won't. I just won't. Just don't bother. What we don't want to do, what the human brain doesn't want us to do, is just sit in this space here and go, I feel resistance here. I'm not feeling 100%. The idea of sitting, because usually I type out my episodes like the first thing in the morning and I'm thinking about them, I'm excited, I'm thinking about my work. None of that happened today. I was like, I've got to do a podcast episode today. You know that? I've got to. Nothing joyous is created from that. So I sat in it all. I sat in the discomfort of it. I sat in the, you should, because you've made the commitment to yourself, most importantly, but other people. And you don't want to. My brain wants to decide, will I or won't I? It doesn't want us to just sit in the like, woof, this. So I sat literally, I lie. I started to type up like I traditionally would, like start to type it up, and I was like, I'm resisting this. What am I doing? This is going to be the least helpful podcast episode I've ever recorded or anybody's ever listened to. What's the point? So I just sat there and I put my head in my hands, and there wasn't anything that wanted to come up. I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to scream. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't I was just like, pfft. So I just sat in that. And my brain's like, you should just, look, you're wasting time now. Just go and get it done. I'm like, I hear you, trio. And I'm just going to stay here for a minute longer. I'm just going to be here for a minute. And so I stayed. And I stayed. And I stayed. And then I noticed what was happening in my body. It's like a swirl inside my torso. I could just feel this swirl. And it's familiar. Like it used to be condensed inside the pit of my stomach, and it'd be like a ball, like a tornado ball. And that now has like moved itself out. And a lot of the time I don't even identify with it, whether it's there or not, I don't know. But it doesn't even come into my psyche. But I noticed it. This like vroom, vroom, go around and around. And so I just stayed there. I just stayed with it, and it was like I followed the energy of it. I just watched it, and my brain was like, no, let's do stuff. Let's decide we're not going to do it, or let's just go and do it. And it's like, how about if I just stay in this moment? Vroom, vroom. You know what? I just followed it, and I followed it, and I let it play out. I let it play out. I watched it play out, and then it stopped. And then, because I stayed there longer than my brain wanted me to, I was like, I don't feel inspired in any direction. I'm just staying here. I'm staying here. I'm staying here. Then I was like, oh, I can talk about this. This has been a really helpful process. Other people's brains are going to be doing this. Somebody's brain right now is saying what you should be doing. And it is equally, because Bob says, where is he? Bob says, this is what you should do. And then you're like, oh, well, I don't really feel that. So then he leaps to the other extreme. He goes, actually, this is what we should do. And they are like, oh, I'm not really on that. So you think about it some more. And Bob takes it to a different angle, which is generally more opposite. Well, maybe we should do this. Well, maybe we should do that. And we bounce and we bounce and we bounce and we bounce and we torment ourselves. And then we just decide, because our brain's so confused. We just decide, well, maybe it's this. I'll just do this. I'll just do it. I'll just do episode 20. I'll read my book. I'll think about something I get to be grateful for, and I'll just get it done and get it out there. That's not helpful. The same way, just deciding, oh, I'm out. I'm not feeling it today. Like, it's not the day. I'm not gonna. I didn't do either of those two things that my brain was desperate for me to. Pick one, do one, pick one, do one. I'm like, how about if I just be in the center of it all, just noticing, being the passive observer of it all, watching it all play out. How about I do that instead? No! What a waste of time! Okay, I hear you. And yet I'm staying. Clarity then is able to land. Why? Because our answers don't come from our conscious brain. We've been conditioned to believe they are through our school systems, through our parenting, through all the grown-ups. What's this? How much is this? What colour's this? I keeping it all up here. The answers don't lie there. The answers lie so much deeper down. So if we're committed to keeping our answers inside our head and bouncing around with them, we're always going to be thinking that we have to think we know our answers. We don't. This podcast, this moment here we're sharing together, would never have been birthed because I'd have either done something really different and you just showed up and you'd have been like, ooh, what's wrong with Emma today? Like that feels off. No. Or I wouldn't have done it and we wouldn't be here in this moment together. But I'm here authentically, genuinely connecting with you, your heart, your soul, being here so intentionally, sharing the process of what I've just navigated. That feels good for me. I hope it feels good for you as well. So in those moments where our brain is telling us we should know, we should decide, we should define it, in those moments, our job is to notice, what is it? And you don't have to get hung up. Like, I love this work and I can identify those different elements inside my head now pretty clearly. Sometimes they're a bit murky, but I don't care if they're murky. I'm just like, what's the thought that's triggered the feeling inside my body that I'm putting a stamp label on it? Like, what are those three things? Doesn't matter if we don't know exactly who Francis is, who Toad is, who Bob is. It doesn't bloody matter. All that matters is you're like, my brain is off on one here. It's telling me what I should be doing, when in actuality, I don't know. And I need to take up some space inside me. That's where our answers live. And that sounds really like woo and out there. But when I give that example of just tuning in, breathing, staying with my breath, and then going inside my body and just feeling this like vortexy feeling inside and staying with that. That's what it means to go inside, outside of the brain. And then that settles when you stay with it. The discomfort, whatever the feeling is, sometimes it's really uncomfortable and we just want to hide. But that was fine. I was just like, oh, what's it like? Whee! And then it stops. And then the clarity descends. Then we get that inspired action. Then the choice is, are you going to take it now? So in that moment, I could have been like, I'm still low vibe. I'm still all the stuff. Or, ooh, that's settled. Ooh, I feel inspired to share what just happened. That's going to be helpful for somebody. So now I'm here. Now I'm here and now I'm sharing. That is what it gets to be. I'm so passionate about sharing how we get to see our brain in a different way and how we get to awake this power, this inner power that's inside us. Because when we lead our life from that power state, that's where real life magic gets to be in our life. When we lead our life from our conscious brain doing what we think we should do and deciding one way or another, we stay stuck in this limbo and it just does not feel fun and we don't live. We don't figure out who we're here to be, what we're here to do, and our work does not get to flow through us when we're in this space. It's this space. Then the flow comes, and it's obvious, and it's easy, and I already feel a gazillion times better. Am I up here high? Nope. But I don't need to be. Today is perfect. Whatever this is perfect. And you know the best bit is helping navigate me through something that's going to be keeping me stuck, and that's what I'm here for all day, every day. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that experience, even though it's really uncomfortable and different and not what I like. I'm like, no, I've been like this for 30 years. I don't want to be doing it. But it's okay. It's okay. What are you grateful for today? Happy, thankful Thursday. Much love.